Welcome to another edition of Ask the AD. Brian Smoller with the Director of Athletics at K-State, Gene Taylor. Nothing going on to talk about right now for K-State athletics, right? As we are in the middle of March, it is hoops postseason and baseball cranking up. Tennis off to a fantastic start, but let's start with basketball. You're just fresh off the plane here. Last couple of 48 hours, 24 hours coming out from a great Sweet 16 win by the Wildcats on the men's basketball side. Pretty impressive.
It was a lot of fun. Obviously, it was, two really good teams, and I think everybody, the Cinderella. We were certainly not the fan favorite last night and 2 nights ago in Charlotte. Where were we?
Charlotte.
Charlotte.
It all runs together. Yeah.
But I thought defensively we just played a great game. Again without Dean, his ability, everybody stepping up with him being out. I think it really just shows what our coaches have done in terms of adjusting their game plan, and to be in the Sweet 16, it's hard to do. No matter what time of year, and this time of year, that's really hard to do. So hats off to our men's team and our women's team. Sweet 16 of the WNIT. Coaches got them playing very well at the end of the season, which is very good to see. And
they'll be hosting a game on Friday night at Bramwich Coliseum. Hopefully a big crowd for that one. UC Davis, pretty good team. So
yeah, that's what I hear, and I don't know much about them, but certainly I hope our fans continue to come out and support the women as they march through the WNIT.
Yep, the men play Thursday night, so no chance of what we had on Sunday where we had two teams running into each other, so chances to watch both. All right, so we've got plenty of questions here from the fans. We'll jump right into it, and it's kind of with a basketball theme. Our first question comes from Twitter, from @APW, I guess. Any long-range plans for life after Bramwich Coliseum? And in the reference, the first part of this, he talked about the building being 30 years old. I know we've talked about renovations for Bramwich, but I guess this is more long-term. Everyone's so excited about a Sweet 16 win. We're looking to build a new arena?
Build a new arena. There we go. I think Bramwich is going to be around for a while. I don't think there's no plans that we've looked at or even talked about that we're going to build a new arena. But like we mentioned before, through the facility master planning process, we are going to look at what we can do to Bramwich, to update it, to modernize it, to bring in some nice entryways and some new seating areas, and really going to look at what we can do to Bramwich to expand the lifespan beyond the 30 years that it is. But it's still a very solid building, and I don't see it going away anytime soon.
No, and a lot more renovations to come here during the summer, getting into next year. All right, so the lavender uniforms have been a big discussion as well for men's basketball this season. We've had a couple of questions on here as well. Can't wear the lavenders in the postseason with the NCAA rules, but the question came from our good friend @Scott Wildcat about the throwback logo that's on those lavender uniforms. Are also used in the women's basketball warm-ups. The question's about adding it as the official secondary or tertiary logo for branding purposes. Now, I had to go look up the word tertiary to understand how to say it or what it means.
Well,
it means third.
I'm glad you did, because I would have struggled with it myself. I think we want to produce or promote the Power Cat, and that's our main mark, and that's the one we want to push out there. I think we do have an opportunity to use those sparingly. It is part of our obviously still licensed logo mark, and we probably don't use it a ton, but it may come out in what they might call tradition type stuff, like our throwback uniform. So it won't be out there a lot, but you may see it occasionally once in a while, and kind of what tradition lines or throwback lines.
Yeah, and as far as media merchandising, great work, Tammy Brandmeier, for the staff that handles all the licensing for K-State Athletics, continues to do a good job there. Next question comes about a sport. I feel like we've asked this many different other ways, and this question is actually twofold. We also got from TV 10, Wildcat Photo asked a question about softball, and this one's about wrestling. Addition of other sports, seems like every now and then we get the same question for Ask the AD.
Yeah, it's interesting. The NCAA Wrestling Championships were this past weekend, and I had a lot of my friends texting me and saying, hey, we miss you, and what are you going to do? You're going to have wrestling at Kansas State. And as much as I like the sport of wrestling and softball, right now we're going to stick with the sports we have. And you just never say never at this point in time, but right now for us to add any sports is not on any future plans anytime soon.
Well, and continuing to fund the scholarships, facilities, and the student-athlete experience as a whole, it's nice to be able to have it trimmed down a little bit on
We
the
do.
sports.
I mean, we don't have a large sport makeup, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing. And when you You know, if you add 2 more sports, it just takes the money and spreads it. But, you know, I would say, you know, then there's facility issues on both of those sports that you need to come up with. So nothing's anytime soon for wrestling or softball.
All right, so speaking of facilities, we'll wrap up our questions today with one about baseball, which goes back to the Tointon Family Stadium project that's part of the baseball soccer campaign. This one talks about a video board in the outfield. I know some of the renderings show one out there.
Yeah, you know, as we continue to raise money for that, although we've reached our goal and we're going to do the groundbreaking pretty soon, we want to be able to continue to raise money so we can make the video board part of that project. Right now it's tentatively in there and a couple of they say add alternates, and it's something that if we can make it happen, we're going to add a video board out there. It's just all going to be about funding, what the project comes in when it's bid by the contractor. If we can make all that work, you know, Learfield has been a great supporter of our program in a lot of ways, and so they've obviously wanted to step up and help us with that. So if we can get one out there, we'll definitely do it.
Yeah, an incremental revenue from them over the next decade or so of Learfield has really helped quite a bit. As we wrap things up, talking about raising revenue, I know the Ahern Fund just finished up a Calling All Cats campaign. How did that turn out? It
looked great. I think we had 170 some members, new members, which is good, a great effort. And you know, I think the more we can get people involved, again, kind of going back to what you said about the scholarships and the support, every bit helps. Whether it's a $50 Ahern Fund member or a $10,000 Ahern Fund member, it all helps our student athletes. That money goes directly to our scholarships and operational support. The student athletes continue to have a great experience based on our donors and fans and friends of the Ahern Fund. Absolutely.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, all those funds go right to the athletes. It's not you give $50 to the Ahern Fund. It's not earmarked for football facility or anything else. There are ways to do that, but that specific fund is for the scholarships of student athletes so they can have their experience. Appreciate the time.
Great.
I know you're right back out of here, headed to Atlanta. Enjoy the trip. Hopefully it's another long stay.
You know, as much as those long stays are fun, I want to continue to have long stays because it was a great experience, had a great turnout. Hopefully have a great turnout in Atlanta this weekend.
Yeah, no question about it. Wildcats headed back into postseason play, men's and women's basketball later this week. More information on what we talked about online through kstatesports.com, and continue to send those questions to Twitter. Gene will be happy to answer them, and also through Facebook. We'll get them up for the next Ask the AD. For our entire crew, for Gene Taylor, I'm Brian Smoller. Thanks for watching Ask the AD.